Welcome children to this interesting session on inflammation, and it is very important for you all because you know even before entering your medical college you would have had some experience with your tooth problems. So how painful, how important, you all know. So this is an important part of the body mechanisms to control the injury. What is an injury? We will go on with the topic. You know, I am Dr. Mary Lilly. I have got 35 years of teaching undergraduates and postgraduates, as well as I have been an MCI inspector to many medical colleges, seen various places of interest in various subjects of medical field. It was very informative and very useful to travel. So when you become good surgeons, you make it a point to travel to learn. So again we'll go to the topic. So what is an inflammation? It is just an inflammation is the immediate early response to any tissue injury. For you, the injury is in and around the tooth. That is inflammation for you. All over the body it is same. So it is predominantly the inflammatory cells come and occupy the site of the injury. What are all the key concepts? We will explain one by one. One is vascular event, number 2 is cellular event, and then about the chemical mediators. Now, how do you define inflammation? It is a protective response to eliminate the cause of cell injury. You must have learnt about cell injury in the previous chapter, cell injury, that is necrosis, apoptosis, and many other things related to that. So now comes the body's, that is the injury, now comes the body's defense mechanisms to protect against the injury. Second part of the role of the inflammation is to remove the necrotic and the dead cells. And also important is once the injury is taken care of, the inflammation is there to remove all the dead tissue. Third is important is to regenerate, to come to normal anatomic and functional capacity. To attain that, the inflammation has to move on towards that. For that, the chemical mediators are very important. This inflammation becomes harmful when it goes uncontrolled, and it causes more of tissue destruction, and it is prolonged. These three situations, it becomes harmful to the patient or the individuals. We broadly classify inflammation into acute and chronic. You all by now must know what is acute. Acute is immediate in onset. Within few days to few weeks it should subside. Whereas chronic means the process extends beyond 3 weeks. We call it as chronic process. What are the differences between acute and chronic? Acute inflammation usually immediate in onset. For an example, an inflicted injury by a foreign body or a glass piece which has injured the skin, or even a food particle that is bones, non-vegetarian food, bones can injure the teeth and the skin. And then whereas the chronic process, it is a slow to start. It need not be immediate response. It can be a slow response, but it can also start immediately after, but it is prolonged. Then the cellular infiltrate in acute inflammation is mainly neutrophils, whereas it is lymphocytes and monocytes in chronic inflammation. The tissue injury usually regenerates to normal functional level and normal anatomic pattern, and it does not proceed to fibrosis. Very rarely small amount of fibrosis happens in acute inflammation, whereas in chronic inflammation, fibrosis eventually happens in chronic inflammation, in which there is loss of tissue and minimal loss of function also in many situations. And systemic signs like fever, pain, body pain, all these things are more prominent in acute, whereas in chronic it is very mild. Now, what causes inflammation? One is infection. You know, the oral cavity harbors many non-pathogenic organisms, but when the pathogenic organisms enter, or when the body immune system is slowed down or dips down, then the oral cavity organisms itself can become pathogenic organism. And there can be foreign bodies. You know, oral cavity, how many foreign bodies can happen? Children, it is different. Adults, it is different. The foreign bodies can also initiate inflammatory response. And the immune reaction, that is a little advanced for you all, but it does happen, like sarcoidosis, tuberculosis happens in the oral cavity. So that is also an important cause of this thing. This is a sequence of events showing the various levels of change in the inflammatory process. It starts with the vascular event, then goes on to the cellular events, and then we have the chemical mediators. We will see them one by one. What do you mean by vascular change? Immediately after an injury, the nearby blood vessels, they will dilate or they will expand. So then what will happen? The blood flow slows down. That will cause swelling, fluid accumulation there, and a tumor-like formation also happens there. When that blood flow is very slow, inflammation can also cause redness there. They can also cause redness there. Once that fluid goes out of the blood vessel, the flowing is slowed down. The blood flow is slowed down. The inflammatory cells come to the periphery. Then very important, the neutrophils are the first to react to this change. They will marginate towards the vessel wall. That is called as margination. Then they will attach themselves to the vessel wall, endothelium, and then they will permeate through the spaces in between the endothelial cells outside the blood vessels. There they will go to the site of the injury or where the organisms have settled down. So then you get, what do you get? The migration towards some gradient, that is called, we call that as chemotaxis. Now we will explain the cellular events in detail. The cells, especially the neutrophils, move towards the periphery. We call that as margination. Then they will roll on along the endothelial cells. Then adhesion to the endothelium, second portion. Thirdly, then they will move out in between the endothelial cells outside. We call that as diapedesis. And then they will move towards the site of injury with a chemical effect. That is, the chemical effect is produced by what is known as the chemokines or the inflammatory factors. That is cellular event. This diagram explains all that in the very sequential order. This is only a schematic representation, but it gives what is capillary widening, then increased permeability, attraction of the inflammatory cells, and then movement of the inflammatory cells from inside the circulation to outside the circulation or the site of injury. This is exclusively, this picture shows the movement of the neutrophils from the blood flow to the thing. So once they go there, they don't stop there. They cannot keep quiet. They will fight. They against the enemy or the invader or the organism or whatever the foreign injury factor is. Once they fight, they might win over all by themselves, or they have to call their other battalions, that the other cells also there. For that, they will secrete substances which are known as the chemokines or inflammatory mediators. We call them as inflammatory mediators. The inflammatory mediators are many, and they are classified into various subtypes based on their source of origin. One is plasma protein, that is histamine and serotonin. Then comes the arachidonic acid metabolites, complement system, and others. Especially this oral injury and the injury to the tooth is specially treated with very highly powerful anti-inflammatory drugs like the arachidonic acid metabolites, because it's so very painful and it does not easily respond like the tissues, soft tissues like skin. So they need very powerful anti-inflammatory drugs to counteract that pain. The inflammatory mediators are studied exclusively to produce anti-inflammatory drugs which will reduce the inflammation, control the infection in a localized pattern itself. For that, we need to know about that. We have several classification which is given in the book, that is prostaglandins, leukotrienes, cytokines, chemokines, platelet activating factor, complement and kinins, that we will discuss in a separate session. Now coming on to once all these are microscopic and ultra level changes, what do you see in the patient? One is accumulation of fluid. I told you initially when there is an injury, there will be accumulation of blood, plasma floats out of the blood vessel. So it causes what we called as collection of fluid. We call that as collection of fluid in an inflammatory process. We call that as transudate or the effusion. This, when it becomes thickened by collection of plasma proteins, dead cells and invading cells, all the dead tissues, it becomes pus. Suppurative inflammation or pus. The root canal dental abscess is another painful condition where pus is formed at the root of the tooth. That is root canal, very, very painful condition. And then we have a fibrinous inflammation which usually does not happen in the oral cavity. And then there can be ulcers. Ulcers can be due to trauma or an infection healing is incomplete. It can produce an ulcer. Ulcer means it is a discontinuity in the surface epithelium. So ulcers are also common in the gums, but patients will seek your help only to treat those ulcers in the gums. Very common scenario. Now, diagrammatic representation of the fluid collection beneath the skin. In the oral cavity, we have the squamous epithelium only like this, but it is not keratinizing, no keratin formation. It is a non-keratinizing epithelium. It forms a blister, a collection of fluid beneath the epithelium, especially near the gingiva. Injury, you will get a collection beneath the gingiva. And then fibrinous exudate, and then the purulent exudate is more common in untreated cases of caries, root canal, root abscess. They are all, you have to drain it and then only you have to treat. That is purulent exudate, that is means pus formation, but it is slightly lower in the oral cavity infections, pus formation. So now we have understood what are all the events and what is the appearance. Events means vascular events, cellular events, and then what causes the cellular events, and then how the swelling is formed. All those things we have come across. And then what comes out, what should come out, what comes out of this acute inflammatory process. One is healing. It has to completely heal. Normal, that is known as complete resolution. An injury should heal and it would produce normal function and anatomy of that organ. And then if not treated properly, or if the foreign substance is not stays there, then it proceeds to chronic inflammation. This diagram shows us two ways. One is complete resolution, second is incomplete resolution and hence fibrosis. So once fibrosis happens, then there is minimal loss of function. Our aim is to reduce fibrosis in inflammation. We should achieve 100% recovery in an injury. Few points about chronic inflammation. I explained to you earlier that it is a response to prolonged injury, that is, or prolonged duration, that foreign body stays there in the oral cavity for a longer time. For an example, a fish bone, small fish bone, it causes, it is broken and it remains inside the gingival cavity, gingival space or in the gums for a longer time, then it produces chronic infection or chronic inflammation. This inflammation attempts, unless you remove the foreign body, there will not be healing. So if at all, it will try to contain itself by producing fibrosis around that foreign substance. That will cause discomfort to the patient. So the foreign body has to be removed in that situation to control the infection. So another important cause is persistent infection. Yeah, some organisms they do not respond to your local antibiotic therapy, and they can persist. Sometimes, very rarely, we come across tuberculosis in the oral cavity, in which the organism uh, produces the disease and it does not heal with routine antibiotics. Then, autoimmune and autoimmune condition and hypersensitivity, which is also occurs in the oral cavity, but very limited. I have seen a case of sarcoidosis happening in the gingiva. She came with a slide of the biopsy from her gingival swelling, and I saw that was a sarcoidosis. Then she has to be treated accordingly to get relief. You have to treat the patient. So you cannot, even if it is chronic, we have to treat the patient. These are all the important aspects of chronic inflammation. When we come in to explain the morphologic appearance, what all you will see, there will be microscopically there will be mononuclear cell infiltration, and there can be tissue destruction and attempts at healing. Attempts at healing means fibrous tissue proliferation, trying to bridge the spaces. All these things will be seen under the microscope. Macroscopically, what will you see clinically? You will see an ulcer or a small nodule or a small swelling. So, these will be the presentation pattern of the injury in the oral cavity. And then a specialized form of chronic inflammation known as granulomatous inflammation can occur in the oral cavity, especially as ulcers. They will present as ulcers in the oral cavity. They all produce a definitive morphologic pattern under the microscope, not macroscope, not in the any other setting. Only microscopy examination helps us to identify these granulomatous inflammation. A very important example is tuberculosis and then sarcoidosis. Now, just to summarize what did we learn in this class, we understood what is inflammation, what causes inflammation, that is the etiologic factor or the injurious agents, then what are all the events, sequence of events, vascular events, cellular events, the role of complement, the chemical mediators, and then how acute inflammation heals, what is chronic inflammation, what are the common causes of chronic inflammation, how the chronic inflammation heals. So with this, I conclude this introduction to inflammation, and I would like to have any questions posted in the comments box.